All right, y'all, welcome to episode 53 of the Dickie and Donny Show, presented by Business on Purpose, where we are here to liberate business owners from chaos so you can make time for what matters most. We use our proprietary operating system to build across purpose, people, process, and profit. We work with business owners from 3 to 100
Did you just have to
employees.
look at a note sheet? Did you just have to look at a note sheet on the wall to look at to
No,
get that?
I'm trying to talk into my microphone, and there's just a wall in
No,
front of
that
me.
makes sense. But you also looked over in the opposite direction, which makes me think right when you said purpose, people, process, profit, like you don't have it memorized.
There's nothing on my walls because I'm in this new office and we've yet to decorate, but
You got that mustache Dickie right there.
I brought my mustache Dickie from the
Home office.
home office to the now Charlotte hub office here. But you know, Brandon, a lot of people come to us and just
Donnie.
like Donnie, a lot of people come to us just like, in the front door, you've got an entry sensor and there's an alarm going off that's like ding, ding, ding. People come to us and they've got an immediate challenge. And what is that? It's cash flow, money, dollar bills.
Oftentimes.
People want to figure out their
Dollar
cash.
dollar bills.
So we're
Yeah.
talking about scaling today and how to scale businesses and how to scale profit. So,
This is a
uh,
three-part series. In part number three, we've talked about scaling with, we started with process or people. The last two have been scaling with process, scaling with people, and now we're talking about scaling with profit. So
right.
this is our 53rd 53rd episode of
53.
Dickie and Donnie. And I looked up professional athletes to wear the number 53. I don't even recognize a single name on the list. So I say we just push on by. You're older than me, so you might, but
Yeah, I can barely count to 53 these days, bro. I did just celebrate my
I said
20th wedding
yeah.
anniversary. That'll,
So here's what I'm going to
that'll
ask of
age
you.
you.
Every time someone older than me tells me they celebrate an anniversary, I ask this question. Usually it's to people I don't know super well, like strangers or something.
One
But
of
I'll
my
ask you the
clients said,
question.
"Did you get married at 10?" And I was like, "Man, I love you, bro."
You're 51, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
43.
You don't look a day over 41, baby.
Thank you.
What's your one piece of advice for those who have been married less than 20 years? How do we get, I'm 9. How do we get to 20?
So someone asked me this at the pool in Puerto Rico this weekend. We took our anniversary trip, and somebody asked me this, and I forgot what I said. Kaylee said, "Forgive easily," and I think I said,
She would say that because you need forgiven easily.
"Yeah," because she's so many offenses to her, poor girl, poor woman. What did I
No.
say? I think I said, "Believe the best about a person." Like
God, that is
believe
so good.
believe like if there's a
Good.
something that goes on, don't and think that they meant something by it. Like you infer and you speculate and you create
Yeah,
the story in your head, and then all of a sudden this small problem becomes a huge thing. So I said, just believe the best, that they didn't mean harm to you by it.
so good.
Yeah, that'll save you a couple
All
fights
right,
at
I'll take
least.
that in. That'll get me to 20 right
I'd
there.
like you to
So
marinate on that and come back next week with some conversation back on that.
if
Donnie,
there's a
we've been
word that I appreciate, it's marinate because it's a little
marinate.
eerie. It makes some people uncomfortable, but yet when you think of what it does, it's a beautifully artistic word. Marinate. Sit
Marinate.
in it. Let the flavors and the volume and the
The
liquid
Worcestershire
soak
sauce
into
just
the
soak into that
Worcestershire
steak.
sauce. Just it doesn't even
Worcestershire.
have to be steak. When I worked at a camp, camp was every week. Kids would come on Sunday, kids would leave on Saturday, a 1 week camp. But as the camps got to older camps, so elementary school, that's what it was. Middle school, that's what it was. High school, that's what it was. But in middle and high school camps, and there were a bunch of them, they would have a 2 week option for these kids if they wanted to stay for 2 weeks. And that was a specific program they would apply to, pay extra, all that. And some of the terms were like amplify, cultivate, stuff like that. Well, the camp I was at had never done it before, but we were starting one. And they're like, what should we call it? What did I say? Marinate. Call this thing because they all rhymed with eight at the end. All the ones that were around us did. And I was like, call it marinate. And they didn't do it. And I wonder why. And I wonder why. And then I
What
wonder
did they end
why.
up calling it? Let's make fun of the name they chose.
Whatever they called it then, they don't even
Fusion,
call it that anymore. They don't even
advance.
call it that anymore.
They called it like entropy. I don't know. What do they call it? Something weird.
Entropy.
I don't know. I
Entropy
feel
is
like
good. Gravity.
so. Donnie, let's talk about some cash flow.
Okay. I just want to say
We.
last time you got mad at me for pressing on with the agenda, and I just want
Oh
to
yeah,
acknowledge
no. I
what's
mean,
happening right now.
you
No,
want to
let's
talk
talk.
about
No,
youth
I,
camp?
I want to talk about it. I'm just saying last time publicly you got upset with me because I was pressing the agenda,
I
and
would
you
like
said
to,
I wasn't
if you're
enjoying time with
listening,
you,
go
my
back and
buddy
listen to that
Dickie.
last, stop this podcast, go back and listen to the last podcast. And here, I just made a comment. It was not upset at all. I'm never upset with you. You
It
apologized to me a
it was
lot, but
more than it was more than a comment.
okay. So we're talking about money
Here, it's like when you could say all I did was put a shovel in the ground, but you broke a water line. Sure, all you did was put a shovel in the ground, but other things happened too. That's how it feels.
maybe your
What are we
water
talking
line
about
is
today?
maybe your water line is too close to the surface.
No, I don't have childhood trauma that makes me sensitive to things. No, I don't.
So we were
What are we
talking
talking
at the
about
coffee.
today?
We were talking about the coffee shop. You called me about 20 minutes ago on your way to work, and I realize there's a gray area in scaling a business for finances. There's a
Yeah.
gray area of risk that some people are willing to take, and I am, as no one is surprised, not risk averse. I will take an incredible amount of risk in my life. My wife, over the last 20 years, this here's another 20-year marriage confession, has learned she is becoming less risk. We were very risky in our early days, right? Like we're willing to, start organizations and go on mission trips and just we had no, but then you have kids and get settled. And so in business, I think you have to assess how much risk am I willing to take on in this season because that will affect, you know, cash flow and money and what you can do. Um,
Uh-huh.
how much margin you have from a cash perspective to make moves. What do you think?
Let's break down the specifics of what you're saying because when you say that, I totally agree. And we have stories, and if you've been around the BOP world, you've probably heard one of the stories we talk about all the time when we coach on core values, unique core values, is the having these filters put in place. Honestly, the way I've started putting it is having these filters that were put in place when we were emotionally stable and thinking through it correctly. Because a lot of the times we use these core values when something emotional happens. We have the opportunity to hire someone that's awesome, but we weren't trying to hire. Well, that's scary because do we even need to hire? Can we afford to hire? But they're awesome, and so you're stimulated, and now we really need these core values that we created when we were in a clean state to affect it. So I really think the first thing you'd have to look at is like financially, what does it allow you to do? What do your core values allow you to do when you're thinking through some of this? For instance, if you're one of your core values is no debt, which one of our clients, a lot of our clients are, but if you're like, we've made a decision as a business to not go into debt, but here you are, and you know, man, if I just expand to this little city over here, I can go get an SBA loan for $100,000, and I can get the office I need I can do all this, I can go and then surely we can make 100 grand over there to pay this off. But if your core values say no debt, God, well, are we willing to break that for this scale? I would say never be willing to break that. I think the gray area with the risk aligns in this. Every time you scale, and I've thought through this, regardless of what that scale looks like. Let's say, Dickie, you and me live in Westfield, Indiana, and we have a shed business,
Wow.
and which at one point was a
What a
pipe
life
dream
we
for us. We have a
live.
shed business.
Do I have
Well, we build sheds, we install sheds. For us to move our product into now we also do tiny homes, that's a form of scaling. It's not that we're now going from Westfield to Indianapolis and we have two shed business, like that's also scale, but it can look a lot of different ways regardless of how you
yes.
scale, whether it's with product, whether it's with location, whatever it is, there is cost involved. So when we think of profit, there's cost involved. I would say, and we need to have a good gauge of what our core values are so we know where to go. Like for that scale, this is where the risk comes in. I have enough to go pay 3 months of rent in a new office. I could probably afford a couple months of a new employee. Let's see if in 3 months we could start making money to cover this thing. That would be a form of risk. Some people are willing to take that. Now, what happens if you don't make that money? Well, now we don't have enough to cover those items that were required. Or, man, we have enough to buy our first tiny home. So we start building this tiny home, but then more people see it. They like what we're doing, and four or five more ask for tiny homes, but we don't have the ability to go produce it yet. So, the gray line lies in, do we wait until our current spot, we've accrued enough extra savings to be able to fully fund ourselves that new scale? Whether it's new location, new team members, new product, whatever it would be. The gray area is to get there can be really hard and time consuming, and oftentimes that dream of scale will probably fade because things are really hard. I'm not saying it'll happen every time.
Oh
I
yeah.
hope like there's that gray line of man, if it's me, I'm not very risk averse. I started when I first got into some investment stuff. The guy was like, "How fast are we running? Are we driving 100 and risking crashing? Or are we going 25 where we'll never crash?" You are
I
going to
can't drive
say,
55, bro.
uh, and I said, I'm on a moped. It's not good to go over 30, so we'll stick there, right? But that's no, I don't want much risk. It's not, I don't know. It's just not how I'm wired. My wife is probably more risk averse than I am. But for me, I would do whatever I could to save up all the money so I know and I do my due diligence. If I'm going to
Mm.
scale, it's going to take this. I'd add on 5% for the things I don't know about, 10%, and I would get a number. It's going to be 87 grand for me to make this next level of scale. I need to wait till I have 87 grand the business no longer needs an extra, and then I'm going to run with it. That's how I would do it. But there is a gray level. Because let's say I need 87 grand, but I have a way of getting 43.5, half of it. Is that enough to start? Is half of it enough to start? There's the gray area there. And different business owners will do it different ways. But regardless, it's a very similar thought process financially. We have to know what we're talking about when we
Okay,
do something
so
like that.
let me take everything you just said that I wrote down.
Sorry.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Like, please stop apologizing.
You
If
did
you
it again. You hit a
if
water
you
line.
apologize to me, I'm going to come down there and punch you in the face. So you said number
I'm
one,
sorry.
dang it. Number
Come
one,
visit.
core values filter. Your core values
Yeah. Have a
filter
filter to make the
next
decisions. Yeah.
steps. Then you said there are different types of scale. I wrote down four types of scale. You could scale your product in volume, which means you're just doing the same product with more of them. You could do your product, same product, but a differentiation. So you move from sheds to buildings. So that's a
Yep.
different type of scale of a product. Then you said you could scale location, you move into a different city, or you could scale people, which is your ability to do work that's not you. Is there anything else scale wise? I mean, those all take money, which is the underlying resource.
Right. Right.
Is that what you said? And then
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you
I
said,
think that's a safe that there's you could probably pick it, but I
okay,
think that's a very safe line to say those are the four types of scale.
okay. So then you said and if you're to fund those scale options, you could either save for it, take out debt, or save half and take out debt for the rest. Those are your
Or pay
three.
along the way. Yeah. Or
Or,
or yeah.
and this is the interesting part about debt. If we define risk, and I looked this up on Google, risk is likelihood times impact. So risk equals the likelihood of something happening times the impact or the benefit of it. Or Webster says the chance that an investment will lose value. Most of us think
Hmm.
about risk in a positive form. Oh, look what we could do. But risk is actually what happens if it doesn't work. And so you take
I
87
would say
grand
most
out.
of us don't look at risk as a positive thing. That goes to like when I hear risk, that's a bad thing to me. To
When
you,
I hear risk, this is wild that we're so wired differently. When I hear risk,
it's
I think,
actually a
well,
good thing.
oh yeah, this is incredible. We're going
Dude,
to put
that
on
is nuts. You said that. I thought it was tongue in cheek, and I don't think it was. Like, no, risk is
oh,
a negative word to me.
no, risk is like, okay, what are we willing to lose to make this happen? Like how much chips can I put on the
Oh
table?
my
But
gosh.
what's the 10 to 1 outcome?
The
Did I just
risk is
blow
a
your mind?
positive thing. No, what you said didn't blow my mind. It's the fact that, like, we're both being honest and we're both directly opposite of how we perceive that. But,
We're the yin and
uh,
yang, bro. Me and you, the white and the black, the yin and the yang, the salt and the pepper, the
golly,
ham and
that's
the cheese.
so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the financial, and I think you put it into kind of three categories, and I think that was probably fair. Those three categories being you can pay for it up front and save, you can get additional funding through, and there's almost endless possibilities there, or you do the like, yeah, we'll wait till we can fund this thing on its own. We're gonna try to have enough to fund this thing on its own, almost like a rental property. Like, well, at that point, it's paying for itself, but you do that with a scale of a business.
And no one is telling you save up $200,000 to buy a rent house to rent out, right? You're going to take debt on it because you depreciate it over time. You're writing it off as you go.
All
Um,
those things.
so that's an example where debt is, and big corporations have tons of debt. Like even sell their
Yeah.
debt. You can buy into corporate debt. You can buy bonds on that. So like debt is a big business, and I think as small business owners, what's challenging about debt is because the business is so fragile it is more
Hmm.
risky to put on debt on smaller businesses because usually they're so dependent on a key leader or an owner or a lack of process or a niche that might go away. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think the reason I think we try to steer away from debt for small business is because of the risk of like, there's
Yep.
just, you got 20 employees, one leaves, that's 5%. You got four
Yep.
employees and one leaves, that's 25%.
Yep.
That's a big cut.
I'll say this to add on to that. I have a business owner that they have cash and just had an opportunity to do a venture. They got 100 grand of cash in their business they no longer need to run their business. It's a beautiful thing. Like it's what they wanted and they have it. And they were like, hey, I got the 100 grand. Do I just do it? And I was like, part of you is like, yeah, but you have the opportunity to go. Why would you not just go for it? And there's a risk there. But we sat down and listed out what would the ROI of this be? Best case scenario, worst case scenario, realistic scenario. What are we looking at? And it made no sense to invest it, even though he had it. So there's the due diligence of being able to know what is our actual return. We're not just going to from Westfield and we're going to expand into Indianapolis, although they're close, because we think Indy will be great. No, no, we have to have a little bit more than we think Indy. Like, oh, but surely people there want our sheds. We got to go find out. We got to do our due diligence because there's an ROI regardless of the three ways you fund this thing. If you got it
Mm,
saved up, this guy had the 100 grand, would not have noticed it had it been gone. Still would not have been a good decision. And then some people are like, man, if I could just get 25 grand, I know that will work because of this, and this. I'm just going to go get a quick $25,000 loan. I'll have it paid off in a month. And you're like,
mhm.
yeah, but you did the ROI. So there's all these different strategies. But man, it really comes down to, I think, and this is risk averse, right? You probably would require a little less diligence to go for it. I am going to want to know, like, generally speaking, to the penny, what am I going to make on this? Like, how
Mhm.
long is it going to take? And I'm super conservative. If I have a sales and marketing guy starting to spread our shed business in Indianapolis, like, okay, how many leads are you tracking a week?
Great.
How are we closing? I'm getting into every detail because for me to make that jump, that's what it
So
would take.
you need the vision, the long-term vision of, very detailed where you're going. And then you need weekly metrics of progress towards that vision.
Yeah,
So vision, metrics, I hate the word KPIs, so I don't use it. And
you just
then
did.
I mean, I just trying to catch people. People love those numbers, right? Those words. There's a guy in the 50s. His name is John Kelly, and he was a researcher, and he did this thing called the Kelly criterion. And poker players and traders use this, and it's a percentage of your total value that you're willing to bet at each time. And so if your
Hmm.
Kelly percentage is 10%, that means you've got 10 hands you can play before you're totally bankrupt. And so I even wonder if using something like, poker players or traders or investors that are thinking about probabilities, if we use that in business, we can also think about how many times can I try to build this shed that if it doesn't work, we're going to scrap it all together. So you put a
Right.
certain amount of, this amount of dollars into research or into the product that you're willing to lose if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's good. That's good. Scaling is tough. Very,
So
very
talk to
tough.
me. So we so give me the three scenarios. If you save, if you're going to save, if you're going to take on debt, or if you're
Yep.
going to split debt and savings. Give me
So
examples
let's
of
give me
why you would
you
choose
give me
each
the
one of those.
situation. Why we would choose each one.
Why would you choose
Um,
one or the other? Like, give me examples of like, I would
if
absolutely save on this.
all of them are prefaced with the scale we're going after is we have every reason to believe we've done our metrics, we've done our due diligence, it's going to work. So I think if that is not the case, I don't know if you risk any of them. But if that is the case, and that's the underlying truth, if my business is at a spot where we're cash flowing to an extent where it could probably, if I could save what I needed to save in 6 months, I'd probably save it every time. If I could save
Yeah.
it in a year, I'd probably save it. But if we're cash flowing to an extent where I can open up a separate bank account and have it drip percentage and that's going to end up funding this thing, then by all means, I think we should
So
save
that's
it
not
within.
an urgent, if you're patient in scaling, that's not an urgent move. You're like, okay, we can wait 6 months for it. When would you
Man,
take
let me ask you this. Do you ever urgently scale? I'll tell you a
right
situation of
now?
when that happened
Right
right
now,
now.
I believe in the next 12 months, the amount of opportunity to fill a gap between really large corporations that can't use AI quickly and small businesses, you can fill a gap with all sorts of automations that we're doing right now. You and I just got off the phone before this, and we're talking about all of the ways we're
Yeah.
we're implementing technology to help small business. And it's right now, I think this time you would scale with, I think you could scale with debt and get ahead of it before these big companies can turn because they're cruise ships. We're speedboats.
So
We
okay,
turn.
you take situational into play. You're right. Here's what I'll say on the first situation. If you have the ability to save for 3 to 6 months, this is also good to this is where having a personal line of credit, a PLOC through your business where you got a cash balance sitting there allows you to also pivot like a speedboat. Ideal. I think that everyone would acknowledge it's ideal to do it on your own. But
Yeah.
if you got time, save up 6 months to a year. If it's going to take over a year, it just so much happens in the scale of a year through business, through your industry, all those things. At that point, I would say is probably when I would start looking into a hybrid. If there's something where we need it quickly, okay, how much would I be able to save in 6 months? And then how far would that get us? How much revenue would we need to make it immediately for us to start help, like have the new scale help support the scale until it just supports itself? So I would say in that situation, if I don't have time to scale or I don't have the current cash flow, which would be a huge hesitation for me to scale because or I don't want to risk things. For you, you might be like, yeah, we don't have the cash right now. That's our answer. That scale is the answer. If that's your that I just that to me is a really hard mindset, but for you, you're like that's how business is. So it's also the beauty of getting to coach with a team because we can throw like, hey, they want to do this, and if all other coaches are like, then do it. And you're like, really? Okay. Okay, I trust it. So there's value there. I think that hybrid model is helpful if you're confident, but you don't have time to save.
So plus 1 year, yeah, maybe take on debt. Now, when would you do
Or cash
half?
flow is not strong enough
Okay.
to get us there before that. So now when would I take on debt?
When you said when would you save half, and once you've saved half, then take on debt and move forward? Is there a situation you can imagine that is a combination of using cash and debt?
Yeah, I guess it'd be, but honestly, the thought process would be the same as if I go into when I would use debt. I think I'd look at those the same. I'd just take on less debt. I think if I'm taking on debt at all, it's a different mindset. If I'm not taking on debt, I start thinking of, okay, I use half, but I only use half to get half the way there. I don't use half and then get additional support to get all the way there yet. I think that's a different scenario. If we're going to do half cash or half savings and then debt to support it, I think you have to engage with the debt thought altogether.
I think there's a Bible verse about that. Don't start building your building if you don't count your cost of what it's going to take you.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Ancient
Um,
wisdom right there.
Ancient wisdom from a guy named.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. I don't know, one of those guys. Luke. I think it's in Luke.
Okay.
He was a doctor.
What was Luke's profession? Bible trivia. What was Luke's
He was a
profession?
doctor, as a physician.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Count the cost,
I
Bible
press
says
on.
14:828. Which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? I mean, this is basic business coaching right there.
So we don't use debt. It didn't say to use debt.
It says count the cost.
I think when you would use debt, there needs to be regardless of what it's like when I first bought a house, I told my dad I qualified for this. And he's like, no, you don't. You do, but you don't. You can't afford it. So we can't afford what we can qualify for. We got to know what we can afford. So, okay, if I have the ability to go get a $200,000 loan, I've had people do that before. If we don't have a system of paying it back already, might as well just lose 200 grand to pay back never on a 45% interest rate, whatever it is. So I would say if you're going to use debt, we need to have a separate bank account for debt payoff immediately. That's a mandatory for me,
Right.
for someone to take out debt. I'm not saying I'm against it all the time, but if you're against opening up a specific account to pay it off, I think we're probably off in what we're thinking of. But we do
Yeah.
that. And then I think we have an amount we're willing to go into debt on and a time we're willing to pay it back. And that is to me the like risk chance that we would take. For instance, I'm going to go pull a $50,000 line of credit or whatever it would be, a loan, $50,000 loan to pay this off. I'm going to give myself 1 year to pay it back. Okay. 50,000, not going to take any more in writing, not going to take any more. I have an account to help me pay it off. Hopefully, we pay it off quicker than a year, but I'm going to give myself a year. At the end of that year, do I just let it go? No. But I now start to think through the scale differently. I probably make changes to drop back until we pay that off. I
And
don't
I
think we
would,
like, but if I could just take another 50, then I could. To me,
right.
you put it in writing what you're willing to do, both time and money. And if you
Mhm.
don't reach it, it's a new equation, probably one that says let's scale back and we got to think
Yeah.
about this differently to
And
me.
I think once that 12 months hits, then that becomes you keep making the same payment and
Yeah,
start funding that line of credit. So then you're going from paying off debt to saving money. And so that's an easy rhythm. You built that rhythm for 12 months, that becomes a superpower. I would say I want to add to that I love the idea of paying the debt out of a bank account ahead of time. And then what I would say is, like you asked, do I have capacity from a cash flow perspective? Do I have a 13-week cash flow? Do I have a 12-month forecast where my cash should be coming from? Because if you don't have a forecast that can point to where that money's coming from, well, then you taking out that debt is reckless.
yeah,
And so
that's
I'm
good.
not trying to tell people to be reckless. I think you should have visibility on receivables and when you expect checks to come through. So
That's good.
let me catch you. Got five things that I heard you say. Set your vision, do your due diligence, review your product, review your metrics, and then review progress towards the vision. So that will be 5 cycle loop towards scaling and using your cash.
Yep. I think that's in a calculated form. That's what we do. At a business coach, that's what I'm getting you to do. I have a business owner that started with me. He hasn't scaled yet, but he knows he could do what he does in another city and take off. So right now, what we're calculating is what's the hiring kit required? Is it a crew lead and a crew member? Could you do it with just biz dev? Do you need all three? We just need to know what's it going to take. Okay, we know the cost of those before we hire them. We know the cost. Now, do we need trucks? What are all the expenses? And he's like, no, it's not. I already have 5 or 6 leads in the town. I just can't get to them. They're too far away. Okay, so we take that into account. He was thinking, well, I already have 5 or 6. We could just go for this thing and we'll be
Hmm.
fine. We hire who we need to hire and we'll be fine. And there's a chance that it actually would pay off if your product and the market and all that is right. I'm slowing him down to say, hey, let's do it calculated. He's like, we don't have 6 months. Great. We'd take a couple weeks. Like we just make sure we know what the expense is at for the next 6 months, it's going to be an additional 55 grand to do this. Okay. Great. Are we good with that? Yeah. These jobs are worth more than that. Okay. Well, cost of goods and all that. Do we have enough? Yeah. I think we'll be good. Okay. You made the decision. Now we set parameters, time and whatever, and we run, but we run. We don't walk. Once we go, we go. It's like some of my custom home builders, their pre-con is so detailed to where they will not start a $5 million house that takes 2 years to build until every faucet is picked. Why? Because once they start running, they do not stop. They can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Right. But once we start, we start. We just go and we run. We have the process already. We have all this, we run. So
So next time, what do you think? Should we start working on the AI revolution and showing people products we're creating, or what are you feeling for the episode 54, which is 3 rounds of golf, if you will?
So it is 3 rounds of golf. No, no, it's not. Yes,
Sure
it
is.
is. So I'll tell you what it is. It's the Brian Urlacher of episodes, which means we're getting bloody a little bit. And when I think of blood, I think of battles. When I think of battles, I think of the Israelites. When I think of the Israelites, I think of the first battle they ever lost, which was against the town called
Gaza.
AI. AI. It's the
Yeah.
fir-
Oh, we're in Joshua now. Okay.
It's
That's
the
what's
first
up.
battle they lost going into the promised land. They're like, we got it. Lord, no, you didn't yet. He
Joshua
hadn't
7,
earned
I
you yet.
believe.
Have
Yeah.
you thought about that? The first battle the Israelites ever lost going into the promised land, something that had been promised for 1,000 years, was to a town called Ai. And
You
people
know,
pronounce it AI. It's not like it's I or I. They pronounce it AI. Have you thought of that?
I've not thought about that, but I will.
I think of Brian Urlacher. I think of athletic tape around my nose, around my face mask, on my knuckles, and we're getting bloody with the
Was
people within the
he a
book of
Bear?
Joshua.
Was he played for the Bears?
He was Dub Bears. Yeah, he was like
Yeah, Bears. Okay.
Dub Bears. Yeah, he was pretty good. Pretty good.
We're getting
Yeah, I
bloody on
think we
this.
do.
Okay.
I think we do. We talk about AI, and I don't think we just talk about AI like we have, where it's 10-80-10, bring your own content. Here's how you use it. I think we dive into, hey, like this is how you implement AI into your business. I think we open up the cupboard. We have a bar cart, and right now there's a couple bottles on top. People don't know what's inside of it. I think we open up the cupboard a little bit.
Yeah, I almost want to bring an owner, business owner on and let us go to
Do a
town.
live demo.
Yeah, live demo. Well, I guess you'll have to see. We'll see next time.
Yeah, man, if
Enjoy
that
it.
is not like the end of an episode of Breaking Bad, where you just got to watch another one, I don't know what is.
We've been
So
watching Lincoln Lawyer, the new season, and enjoying that one. And we
there's a fourth season.
just started. Yeah, a new one.
I knew there were three. I've watched all three. I like that show. I couldn't watch
Good.
Breaking Bad. It kept me up too late at night. I couldn't stop watching, and then it made me nervous, and I couldn't do it.
I couldn't watch. I wanted to watch that show, but I don't know. I had a hard time with it. It was just too aggressive, and I'm a pretty
It
aggressive
was
person.
very no that it was too aggressive, and it kept me up, and I struggled to sleep because I was like I literally couldn't get my mind out of the like anxiety of it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Well, this has been a thrilling episode of a not bloody episode 53 of the Dickie and Donnie Show presented by Business on
heyo,
Purpose. If you need support, coaching, or direction, go to businessonpurpose.com/healthy and take a 5-minute business assessment. And either Donnie or I or Deej or Diddy or Dad or Dot BB or Dent or Daryl, one of our coaches
we
will
do not support
gladly
the
reach out
lifestyle
to
nor
you.
actions of P. Diddy.
Yes,
Business
that's
on
true.
Purpose
What we
does
would
not
love
support.
to do an assessment of your business with you and get you guys out of chaos. So until next time,
Man,
Donnie, have a great weekend.
Dickie, see ya.
Peace.